How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Check this out, my royal family. Go get your shit. Go get your shit. Juicy, juicy, juicy. You talking about sweet? Ooh, real sweet. Real diabetic kind of sweet. You know, you get that biscuit that, with them damn layers and butter. Put some syrup on it. Just let it drip. I'm about to deliver juicy. So I had heard about this yesterday, but I'm very patient, my royal family. Now, Ted Cruz, with his grimy ass, got some problems, and he has to address his immediate situation. But before I get started, I'm going to give this all 1,000% to Lisa Cabrera. She told me that virus would show up in D.C. soon. She told me about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Oh, yeah, she said it's coming. Oh, Lisa Cabrera, it's much deeper. I like to dig till I can't dig at all. So I got this article that I have to read to the royal family. ScrewTube is on that bullshit like they usually is. And they don't want us to, show the articles. No problem at all. But the links will be there, my royal family. But I must read the juiciness. Now look at Ted Cruz. He looked concerned. He got that look like he got shit in his drawers. Like he was trying to pass some gas and he passed a load of shit. The thought of having this virus. So I'm going to take this royal family on this journey. That's when you bust out that good weed or that bottle of wine or champagne for that special ass occasion. So my royal family, let's get into this article and then I'm going to pick it apart. The coronavirus crisis is starting to hit Capitol Hill as 2 Republican lawmakers announced Sunday they were in self-quarantine following their exposure to an infected individual at a recent gathering of conservative activists. Okay, you ain't self-quarantine yourself. They told your ass what to do, Ted Cruz. And I'll get to the other dude. While neither lawmaker has been diagnosed with the disease, the 2 cases show that Congress, like the rest of the country, is having to grip with the growing outbreak. Congressional leadership officers said there has been no change in the congressional schedule at this point, although numerous lawmakers are contacting party leaders with questions and concerns and suggestions for responding to the growing crisis, and with many lawmakers in the most endangered category for coronavirus exposure. Individuals age 60 who travel or attend public events. Congress may have a uniquely difficult time responding to the situation. Senator Ted Cruz announced on Twitter that he is under self-quarantine after having interacted with the person who tested positive for coronavirus at the recent conservative political action conference. Cruz will stay in Texas this week and not return to Capitol Hill for votes. In a statement released on Twitter, Cruz wrote that he was informed of the interaction on Saturday night and that he had engaged in a brief conversation and a handshake with the infected individual. Ooh, you look real concerned, Ted. What's going on? You got a load of shit in your pants. Cruz said he had consulted with several medical authorities, some at the Center of Disease Control and Prevention and the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as Vice President Mike Pence, Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and the newly minted White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. I'm going to come back to that in just a bit, my royal family. You got to learn how to read in between the articles, and we good at it. I'm not experiencing any symptoms. I feel fine and healthy, Cruz said in the statement, given that the interaction was 10 days ago, that the average incubation is 5 to 6 days, that the interaction was for less than a minute, and that I have no current symptoms. Medical authorities have advised me that the odds of transmitting from other individual to me were extremely low. Cruz added that the physician advised him that the interaction didn't meet the CDC criteria for self-quarantine. However, out of the abundance of caution for his constituents, Cruz said he decided to remain in his Texas home for a full 14 days. Cruz has been one of several coronavirus hawks in the Senate. He called for a China travel ban in January, has consistently raised questions about U.S. preparedness, and held subcommittee hearings just 4 days ago on how global travel could fuel the spread of the virus. The CPAC attendees who tested positive for coronavirus was infected before the conference at Maryland's National Harbor. The American Conservative Union, who puts on CPAC, said on Saturday that the individual was tested at a New Jersey hospital and quarantined in that state, the very state Lisa Cabrera live in. Now, Representative Paul Gosier, a Republican of Arizona, is also under self-quarantine along with 3 of his senior staff after sustained contact with the affected individual at CPAC. The Arizona Republican tweeted Sunday. Gosier said, although he and his staff members feel great, they are being proactive and cautious. His office will be closed for the week. Now this is where it get extra juicy. All right? Fire your shit up and just suck it in real hard. Or whatever you drinking, get that big ass gulp. I'm letting y'all just do that right now because it's about to get more juicy. You ready for this, my royal family? President Donald Trump and Pence, who said on Saturday that he had not been tested for coronavirus, attended the conference. Juicy. Oh, shit. So did several administration and cabinet officials, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Secretary Alex Azar, Meadows, and 2 of Trump's children, Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump Jr. Let's go over here for a second. These gangsters was there. Well, what they left out was Mitch the bitch McConnell was there and Pence was there too. Okay, my royal family? And it wasn't one person running around with that shit. It was some others running around with that, because the person who's the most dangerous to contact this stuff is the ones that have no symptoms at all. Juicy. Ooh, real juicy. This the kind of shit that make me get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I could not contain myself. So as we continue on, my royal family, let's get in some more juicy parts.
This just in to CNN. Texas Senator Ted Cruz will now self-quarantine after coming into contact with the individual who tested positive for coronavirus at the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC. Let's go now straight to CNN's Kristen Holmes with more. So what more do we know about this case? And this is a conference where President Trump and the Vice President attended as well, right?
That's right, Amra. So let's start with what we know and then go to why this is so important. Remember, this is the first lawmaker that we know has come into contact with the virus, and of course the first lawmaker we knew who came into contact with that attendee who was found positive after attending the CPAC conference. So we learned today Senator Cruz putting out a statement that said that he had shaken hands, had a quick interaction with this attendee. He was told by people at CPAC, and that he's consulted.
Hold up, I gotta drink my grape juice. Juicy. As we continue on.
Numerous health officials who told him that given the length of the interaction, that it was a short interaction, that it has been 10 days since, that likely he is in the clear. However, he issued a statement, part of it reading this, says, out of an abundance of caution and because of how frequently I interact with my constituents as a part of my job and to give everyone peace of mind, I have decided to remain at my home in Texas this week until a full 14 days have passed since the CPAC interaction. This is a big deal. Here's why. We've been talking about this all day long. We were wondering who else this person had interactions with. These are people who have interactions with the president. We don't know if who Senator Cruz has interacted with since that conference. He's been up on the Hill. He's worked with other senators. And we know that just last week there was a briefing for the big four, the leaders, Democrats and Republicans in the House and Senate, on what security would look like. It was a classified briefing, but this is exactly what we've been looking at, trying to figure out what this looks like if it does come to Washington and hits these lawmakers and potentially even the White House at some point.
Ooh, ooh. That's all I can say, my royal family.
As we were
Let me
sitting
shut
down,
this
Kamala Harris
down.
is now endorsed.
Let me shut this all down. And let's listen to this. Now, this is really deep. I don't give a damn. I'm showing this shit because the way it's set up. You know, I'm going to leave it right there the way it is. Let's go all the way back on this because it got 16 seconds here. I want all the seconds. I said all. Then it's going to show 3. Got me real fucked up. So, let's not lose sight. The Secretary of State, you know, he ain't nothing more than a near bully. Well, let's hear what's going on.
CNSnews.com, as the number of novel coronavirus cases reportedly continues to fall in China, in sharp contrast to the situation in other parts of the world, the country's state-run media is reacting furiously to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's criticism of China's handling of the outbreak. Pompeo attracted especially strong censure for labeling the virus the Wuhan coronavirus, for the city in China's Hubei province where it first emerged late last year. Although Chinese officials, health experts and media outlets state routinely that Wuhan was where the outbreak began, more recently some have started calling that into question, even disseminating conspiracy theories about the U.S. being responsible for it. On Friday, Pompeo said during a CNBC interview, "This is the Wuhan coronavirus that's caused this, and the information that we got at the front end of this thing from the Chinese wasn't perfect and has led us now to a place where much of the challenge we face today has put us behind the curve. It has proven incredibly frustrating to work with the Chinese Communist Party to get our hands around the data set which will ultimately be the solution to both getting the vaccine and attacking this risk," he said. A presenter pointed out that some state-run media in China were now saying that it's not clear that this even came from China at this point. No less authority than the Chinese Communist Party said it came from Wuhan, Pompeo said. So don't take Mike Pompeo's word for it. We have pretty high confidence that we know where this began. The topic came up in a Fox and Friends appearance, too, with Pompeo again referring to the Wuhan virus and saying that the data set out of China has been imperfect. Asked about his use of the term, he said, the Chinese Communist Party has said that this is where the virus started. So don't take my word for it, take theirs. The Communist Party-affiliated Global Times in an editorial Sunday criticized Pompeo for blatantly calling the virus the Wuhan coronavirus. The World Health Organization (WHO) has publicly discouraged labeling the virus with names referring to specific places, and most political figures and media outlets across the world have followed WHO's recommendations, it said. Moreover, it has not yet been determined where the coronavirus originated. Naming it Wuhan virus is scientifically groundless and morally irresponsible. His speaking of the Wuhan virus was rude and vicious, and the accusation of non-transparency was ridiculous, Global Times said. The WHO has formally labeled the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, and the disease it causes COVID-19. Blaming others for its own faults, state-run China Daily said in an editorial that if the U.S. was behind the curve, as claimed by Pompeo, that was because the administration had not reacted in a timely manner to the information that has been provided by China. It said China had wasted no time providing the WHO with the genetic sequence of the coronavirus and has maintained regular communication with countries, including the US. It is not only the Chinese people's heroic efforts to fight the virus at home that have won worldwide recognition, but also the Chinese authorities' rigorous efforts and the transparency of what it is doing, the paper said, noting that WHO has praised China's response. Pointing to the contrasting numbers of new cases in the U.S. and China, China Daily said that indicates the U.S. administration has tremendous work to do, work that is only being impeded by it blaming others for its own faults. In the early days and weeks of the outbreak, more than 90% of confirmed cases worldwide were in Wuhan POP, 11 million and Hubei province. Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention (CCDC) researchers unambiguously linked the outbreak to Wuhan and pointed as the likely source a market that traded in living wild animals, including chickens, marmots, and snakes. In late January, the mayor of Wuhan publicly offered to resign, acknowledging widespread anger at the slow release of information about the virus. A doctor who tried to blow the whistle on the mystery new virus was censured and silenced. He was later himself infected and died in early February. On February 26, the number of new cases outside of China passed those in China for the first time since when the gap has widened significantly. As of Sunday, Hubei still accounts for 84% of all cases in China, 61.5% of all cases worldwide, and 78.6% of all COVID-19 deaths worldwide. According to WHO's daily update on Sunday, the number of new cases in China over the previous 24 hours dropped below 100 for the first time since late January, to 46. Outside of China, 3,610 new cases were reported, with Italy 1,247 new cases, Iran 1,076, South Korea 367, Germany 156, and France 93 worst affected. Although not reflected in WHO figures, which were last updated early Sunday morning U.S. Eastern Time, the United States reported a jump in new cases, which stood at 554 by early Monday morning. 21 deaths have been reported, 17 in King County and 1 in Snohomish County in Washington State, and 1 each in Lee County, Florida, Placer County, California, and Santa Rosa County, Florida.
Them numbers ain't accurate, my royal family. This shit is everywhere. And the Secretary of State do a whole lot of traveling. We know he been tested. Now he done pissed off them folks calling that the Wuhan. Well, some people, that's what they gonna call it. Corona or Wuhan. Either or. It is what it is. So I had to just, put that in there. But I got one more. juicy video. But before I play that juicy video, I had to go get me another cup of grape juice and just like sip on it real light. This shit is juicy. Got a lot of ice in it. I didn't put no lemon in it. I didn't even care for the lemon. It was just like I got to get the juiciness. One more drink. Okay. So you got to slurp on it. And when you slurp on it, my royal family, then the juiciness just blends in with the slurping and all that. It just all blends in like. So let's listen to this last juicy video. Wow.
Coronavirus in the United States. 3 are in Maryland. As quickly as it's spreading, so's the fear. People are dying, events are being canceled, and stocks are plummeting. Hello again, I'm Max McGee. 2 people are dead in Florida, the first deaths from the virus on the East Coast. Tonight, thousands of people are stuck off the coast of California, quarantined on a cruise ship, as 21 passengers tested positive for the coronavirus. Here in Maryland, all eyes have been on a conference attended by President Trump, the Conservative Political Action Conference. Organizers say a New Jersey man tested positive for the virus after attending. WJZ's Live Pat Warren has the latest on the president and what's happening in Maryland. Pat.
Well, according to the White House, there is absolutely no indication that President Trump was in any close proximity to that patient. Meanwhile, in Maryland, we're still watching what happens. In his news conference Friday, Governor Hogan said he's providing regular updates not to raise alarm, but in the interest of full transparency and out of an abundance of caution. Early this evening, he took to Twitter with this update that a person confirmed to have COVID-19 was in Maryland from February 27th to March 1st at the Conservative Political Action Conference, National Harbor. President Trump and Vice President Pence both spoke at that event. Another patient testing positive attended an event at the Village at Rockville Retirement Center.
Due to the scale of that gathering, we are urging anyone who attended an event last Saturday, February 29th, at the Village at Rockville between noon and 6 p.m. to immediately contact your health care provider.
As to testing, the 2 million people in Maryland who belong to Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield will have no cost share for the coronavirus test.
So there'll be no barriers to care, so people will get what they need, which is good for them and good for the public in general.
And some consider canceling events also good for the public in general. The governor would like everyone who was at that conference or worked that conference to be aware of what's going on. In the meantime, stay with WJZ. We'll keep you updated on the events as they occur. I'm Pat Warren reporting live for WJZ.
Pat, thank you. The Maryland Department of Health announced it'll no longer be reporting the pending number of people being tested for the coronavirus. That's because testing capacity has been expanded to include commercial labs. There's been 3 positive cases and no more tests are pending. The Maryland Emergency Management Agency reported dozens of calls Saturday about the coronavirus. As of 2 this afternoon, 81 people had called. The state encourages you to call 211 if you have any questions. There have been no cases of coronavirus in Baltimore City schools, but leaders say they're increasing cleaning efforts in high-use areas like doorknobs and bathrooms. The school says they're planning for multiple scenarios and are taking steps to prevent an outbreak, including meeting to review and update contingency plans.
All right, my royal family, let me take that down because I don't need no pop-ups. So, now we know behind the scenes, these folks then took that test. We ain't no fool, at all. And the way this virus is mutating and running rampant, they can't nail it down. Judgment. Ain't it judgment, my royal family? Ain't it juicy? Real juicy. Now, make sure that you pay attention and look in the face of the enemy and the enemy's supporters. You know, I said the last video that I did, I said that the enemy can't come up with no law, can't put it in jail, can't kill it, can't eradicate it, can't do a damn thing. See, my royal family, some people, and I can understand, or dismay, or say, okay, we out of our captivity, but we don't see anything. You have to look with your spiritual eyes. You have to continue to go to the word and also to the epigrapher too as well, and study, meditate, and listen to the universe. Judgment. You know? And I know some folks may come over here to this channel and say I'm wrong. But you never said it was wrong when the enemy pumped bullets in our body. You never said it was wrong when black women repeatedly get raped. And you got folks throughout the United States running around here high yellow, blonde hair and blue eyes, but you can tell they black at the same time. Never said that was wrong. And all the other atrocious shit that the enemy and the enemy supporters do to the royal family. So you don't come over here talking about what is wrong when you've seen all the wrong that was projected and continue to be projected towards the royal family. We're the chosen ones, and you treat the chosen ones in an atrocious fashion, and you want to jump up in our face and start telling us what's wrong. Long before this virus came, there were many things that was wrong, and the ripple effects is going to be amazing. Folks ain't going to want to have contact with nobody. Police officers will get this coronavirus. In fact, I think Lisa told me one dude came up positive with it, performed CPR on somebody, didn't do it properly in order to get that stuff. So all we can do, my royal family, is get them latex gloves, use them when you're out and about in the public. When you come home, take them damn shoes off at the door. Put your clothes straight in the hamper or just wash them immediately. Wash your hands. In fact, go take you a bath before you start interacting with your family. Now, don't lose sight, my royal family. You can come to my email me, and I'll email you the links to which you can take to protect you from the coronavirus. And there's other things, but the reason why I recommend what I'm recommending now, this is the only thing that I know now that will build up your immune system in 3 days. I have tested it and I know what I'm talking about on this. So keep emailing me. Now, some of y'all are emailing me, or not emailing me directly and manually giving me your email, and it's not working at all. Please just email me. You want the link. You need the link. Just email me and I will return it back to you immediately. And what I'm sending you, give it to your children. All right. So it's like, I would recommend the minimum 2 cups a day, you know, and then you can go on about the world and navigate through this world with your dust mask and your gloves and all of that. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer. But wasn't that juicy, my royal family? Look at Ted Cruz. Where he at? I'm telling you, he look real concerned, don't he? He like, oh shit. I think my drawers is wet. Oh yeah. They subject to be real greasy at the end of the day. That's how you conduct yourself, Ted Cruz. And you've been amongst many people, your family too as well. The ripple effects are truly amazing. So my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And it's always my royal family. I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe. Ooh, that was real juicy. Juicy, juicy, juicy.